Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have my very good friend from graduate school, Katie, joining me today. Hello Katie.
Hello.
Thank you for being with me.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see you.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to my audience?
Sure. So yeah, I'm Katie Polston. I went to grad school with Fang in North Carolina State University, and a recent exodus, I guess, from academia. Probably one of many with COVID going on, and have started my own candle company a couple years ago, but I'm recently focusing on now building that up as my main business.
That's brilliant. When I saw you on LinkedIn, you are not in academia anymore. It's kind of surprising because, university staff position is very popular and also very, very hard to get. So personally, I'm very curious, how do you make this decision to leave it behind?
Even like pre-COVID, I've been thinking about it, just especially with non-tenure track positions. It's all, very teaching heavy. So you don't get to do research, or if you do, you have to kind of jam it in ways. And so really started to miss the research aspect of academia, and even like the little things, like as an introvert, I love teaching, but talking all day started to add up as an introvert, where I could not have a social life because I just had no energy after work. Even like pre-COVID and before I'd moved back to my hometown, I've been kind of like thinking about it, or like maybe switching to an administrative position within academia, or something like staying in the university system but switching to something where I'd be able to do more research rather than teaching. Basically just got burnt out, and like my last position it didn't really pay a living wage, was working like 80-hour weeks, very chaotic.
80 hours a week?
Yeah. And so it just got to the breaking point where it was just like, if I'm going to be a workaholic, and not make a lot of money, I might as well do that for myself. So,
80 hours a week is too much.
Yeah.
Too much. It's not worth it sometimes. If there's some research work you're really interested in, then maybe your passion is there. Sometimes people could work like 24/7 for their research, but teaching and talk all the time and prepare the teaching work, everything for the class is too much.
Yeah.
So have you ever thinking about to stay in academia, but to switch the position to be like a tenure track and to be able to do more research work?
I thought about it, but I couldn't decide what kind of research track I'd want to focus on. I kind of hit that same I experienced like hitting that wall of like having to choose in grad school too. And so at that point, when I was, doing my PhD, I knew I wanted to go into academia and teach. So I focused on pedagogy in textile design, because I didn't want to choose like any beyond that. I wanted to have a broad base for future research opportunities. I don't want to be like locked into something for like 5 years, or even though it doesn't necessarily mean you're locked into one topic for 5 years, but you are saying no to other research. And I wanted to keep things open and have more flexibility. And so that's why I decided to pivot to, I started looking at tech companies, teaching myself to code, thinking about like product development aspects, but switching to like app development, because that consumer-centered kind of design process is pretty similar from apparel to it's a consumer good either way.
Yeah.
But really would like to stay in academia because I do like the civil and social good that it has. Like I want to do something good with my life and have, I'd rather not have to push an app if I could actually change someone's life, And so I got a current position at our local community college, which is part-time, which is great contact with the students. It also has like data and program mapping and like, kind of some big picture analysis and the micro, like one-on-one student interaction and a good balance. And then it gives me time to focus on building up the candle company, as well as doing personal. I haven't had time to sew anything in 4 years.
Uh-huh.
So I actually did have time now to start sewing and painting doing like picking up hobbies. And so just kind of having that breathing space to actually have like a life.
Yeah, 80 hours per week, you will not have your own life at all. How could you like squeeze time to do like your hobby? Like you just barely have your time to eat and sleep, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know the university stuff, like a teaching position could be that tense, to be that heavy. Wow. I mean, if it was like a tenure track research position, would you enjoy it more in academia?
Maybe. I think just even with the tenure track being squeezed more and more.
Yeah.
I think if I knew now what I knew when I graduated and when I picked my topic for grad school for my dissertation, I probably would have focused on like stayed with my thesis topic of like looking at crafters, the craft market and technology, and continued that to look at that in some way. And because that is still, even with like making candles, that's still like a craft, right? It's working within a niche market, a local market, very hyper localized, production and sourcing. And so I think I would have chosen that as a research topic and pursued tenure track, in 2014. But now I feel like the situation is so different in academia that I think it's just people are getting squeezed more and more and more. And it's just becoming way more stressful and tense that, it definitely does not seem as attractive now as it did in 2014.
Yeah, lots of people try to squeeze into the academia world. It's get more competitive because the advantage of it, like you can work there forever. Kidding, not forever, but you can work for many years, like over your 70s, you're still working there, right? You can work there forever, and also have a school give you very good package. In terms of the insurance or other benefits, right? And on top of that, it's very stable. You are not afraid to be fired by someone, right? Like if you work in industry, tomorrow maybe I could lose my job because I did something wrong. And also in an industry, probably over 65 something, people will say, it's time to get retired, right? But in academia, you could work for another 10 years, right? So there are lots of advantages there. That's why it's more attractive to go to academia world. But of course, because it's more competitive, then it's more tense or more stressful to be in that position.